In today's Consumer Alert, the Biden administration is proposing new rules to make airlines more transparent about added fees. This comes as the Department of Transportation is also looking into proposed stricter rules for airline refunds after a summer filled of flight delays and cancellations. Stephanie Gosk is here with what you need to know as the holiday travel season approaches.
The scramble to get those holiday plane tickets is on, followed by the ticket shock. Compared to last year, average domestic fares are up 43% for Thanksgiving and up 39% for Christmas. Those high prices include extras like checking a bag and change fees. The federal government proposing new rules to ensure airlines and travel sites are transparent about extra costs up front as soon as a price is listed. Customers would no longer have to search for fees tied to things like checking bags, canceling or changing flights, and guaranteeing seats with family. The White House says the new rules would force airlines to be more competitive, driving down prices.
Are these new rule changes necessary?
No, they are not necessary. All the information that this proposed rule is about is currently available on our websites.
Nick Callio is the president of Airlines for America, a trade association.
And we don't need really the government to tell us to do it. Our carriers are so fiercely competitive, it's unbelievable.
The transportation secretary responding.
I think right now we still have too many situations where passengers, you think you're getting a low fare, you think you're getting a great deal, but it wasn't obvious what the fees were.
The announcement comes after a summer of discontent, tens of thousands of cancellations and delays. Staffing shortages forced airlines to cut down the number of flights, contributing to an increase in ticket prices. Air travelers are frustrated. The federal government hoping some new rules might make things better.
It's a way to say to the public, we hear your complaints and we agree with you. We want you to know everything that's involved and the true cost of flying.
Still ahead at noon, crispy potato pancakes with a hint of apple cinnamon. We're heading to the Mr. Food Test Kitchen next.